how did people come into America back when we didn't have to have border walls and all that stuff? And who was the people trying to come into America? And what was the spirit? I think, because according to everything that his mom said, Oscar wasn't coming here to become a citizen. He was coming here to make some bucks. Now, he had to bring his wife, evidently, or he thought he did. I mean, she had a place to stay. Now, I know a lot of guys who leave their family back with relatives, and they come here and work for several years, and they get a grub stake, and they go back and they build a house. Or, they do lots of things. Some of them come here legally and work in the country with a green card for years. And they send money back, and the money goes back, and it's building a house for the rest of their family, and they go back and visit their family. And that's great. But why are there so much crime in Mexico? Are we supposed to think that Mexicans are more criminal by nature than everybody else? Not so. I mean, that's a racist statement. Why aren't they more successful in El Salvador? Why don't they have a higher standard of living in El Salvador that they do in, maybe Mexico, parts of Mexico, or in parts of Oregon? Why don't they have as high a standard of living as that we have all across America in El Salvador? Are they incapable of it? No, it has to do with what you're doing, the way you're thinking. And the more people that think the way that brings real prosperity to the community, which is not thinking about getting your house built, getting your money, getting just your family. Because I know the people in El Salvador and Mexico, they're very family oriented. That's not a problem. That they don't have as much problem. They do have that problem, but as much problem as we do in America or in the black community of fathers leaving the home. We do have that, and from some, but they've actually got a lot of that from America. In their culture, family's a big thing. But why aren't they more successful? Because they're missing something. And that's what we need to know, what they're missing, because you are going to need that if you want to immigrate to the kingdom of God. And that's really where you want to immigrate to. You don't want to immigrate just to the United States or, I actually know people moving down to El Salvador or Nicaragua because they believe there's actually more freedom down there than there is up here, which is kind of a bizarre turn of events. But there's a reason for that. What I'm really concerned about in this article is the hate. And you hear it, hating Trump is just as bad as hating, some race person or hating people who voted for Trump. That's just like, hating somebody because of their race. It's a mindless hate. And I see it in all these articles and on Twitter and on Facebook, and it's really got to stop. But we're going to take a break, and we'll be right back to Keys of the Kingdom. Well, welcome back to Keys of the Kingdom. So, what's wrong with not having borders and not having people protecting, who's coming across the border? And I think there could be a lot more protections in place. But I actually know that if more of you were seeking the kingdom of God, you wouldn't need those protections. But in order to seek the kingdom of God, you have to make your yeses yes and your noes no. And all those congressmen and senators said yes to the Constitution of Oregon. They swore an oath to uphold it. But then they're sitting in offices they know they have no right to. Many of them. Some of them may not even know they violated Article 2, Section 22. But like I said, go see Slip Hazard. Go read that. And we'll have the audios up as soon as we can. And you can figure it out. And eventually we'll probably, on the webpage we'll add where some group is that you can go and be a part of trying to hold everybody accountable and try to bring honesty back to your government instead of going the way of Saul and giving the power to the government to take and take and take and take. Because all those guys who fled the state to stop the cap and trade, they didn't stop all the other bills. They didn't stop the bills that have now been passed into law since they got back. That is going to be their undoing. You see, they let the camel in the tent, the camel of corruption. They let his nose in the tent, and now the whole tent is filled with corruption. This has been in the books for a long time, and they've been ignoring it. You can't be a just lawmaker if you don't obey the law. I have to obey Christ. So I have to preach the kingdom of God and His righteousness. And so what does that look like? How do you immigrate in the kingdom of God? Well, for one thing, the kingdom of God is not a location. It's not here or there. So we don't put up walls. We don't put up borders. But we are our walls, like the Corinthians said. Back during the Peloponnesian Wars, Athens wanted to loan them money to build a wall. And they said, we are our walls. What did they mean? Well, the fact is their character, their moral character. And their union together, their union and discipline, which is referred to the early church, or the union and discipline. Of course, now I just said the word church, and if any new listeners are listening, they think, oh, I don't have anything to do with church. You don't have anything to do with church, probably. And what you think church is, I don't want to have anything to do with either. But you have a distorted view of what Christ was doing and what the early Christians were doing, because the early Christians were free in vast numbers, living right in the heart of the Roman Empire. But their union and discipline frightened the Roman Empire. But most of you probably don't even know, most of the people out there in radio land and podcast land don't even know what the Christian conflict was. And we have an article up on that, so you can go look for that at Preparing You. So anyway, so how did they